All right, so this is how to add a new training or a new registration or anything like that to the training self-report your training tracker. So you will start at the training tracker SharePoint list. So the list is what controls the dashboards and the reporting. So you want to go ahead and create your column so that your form can feed your columns, and then go from there. So I'm just creating a test training, and I will indicate that in the header. So I will say test training. And then typically you're going to want to do a date column because you're going to ask when somebody completed it. If there's any additional information that they want or that you want, then you can either create a single line of text, a number, yes, no, all of that good stuff. So, but for this one, we're going to create a new column, and this is going to tie each team member to this test training. So I'm just going to say training one. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my form, and these are under our group form. So bind groups, and then training tracker, self-report your training. And then you can come in here and you can, I've gone ahead and I've turned off the attachments for that. So I went ahead and made it so that attachments are not required for all um, trainings. So just keep that in mind. And the reason for that is if you make it required, then then it has to be in there. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, I think I'm going to turn it back on only because it doesn't affect if you jump over that question, then it's not going to be required. So I think that's probably what we want to do. And then in the flow, I will show you um how it sort of skips over that requirement in the flow if there's nothing there. All right, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add a new question, and I'm just going to do a date field. Okay, so I'm going to update my question to say, what date did you complete training? I'll just say test training one. And you'll want to make it required. And the reason for that is because when we come up here, we want to add which training are you reporting or registering for today. We're going to add an option here, and we're going to say test training one. And then you can click the three dots, you can click add branching, and when they choose on the first question, what training are you reporting or registering for today? We're going to go to question 9. So it's going to skip over all the other questions that are in here, and we're going to go directly to question 9. And that's going to take them here. For question 9, we don't want to go to next. We're going to click on end of the form. And then that's just literally going to send them like a confirmation. It's going to show them a confirmation screen. And that's it. So then I'm going to back out of here. And I'm going to back out of here. Whoops. Really don't have to back out of anything. I think it's just going to keep taking me back. So I'm going to come into my flows. So now we have our column on our training tracker list. And then we also have our questions set up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add to the automation that's already created. We're going to update the automation so that that question on the form pushes to the SharePoint list. So it's going to be under here under shared with me, training tracker, self-report your training. If you don't see it, then it's not been shared with you. Just reach out to one of the developers and they can get you that. So the layout of this form is basically when a new response is submitted to that form, it's going to gather up all of those response details and whatever they put into the form. It's going to look and see who it is by who submitted it. We're going to get all of the items from that SharePoint list and basically it's going to look at that list. And it's only going to pull if the team member email, so the column in the SharePoint list is team member email equals the responder email. So basically it's going to look and see, does the responder already have a row in the list? So Kendall would say yes. Say John Brown, that would be a no. So it's not going to filter down. It's going to only get the items where the team member email equals the responder's email. And then we've set up a condition. Does the user's row exist? If yes, then it's going to, I'm sorry. If the get items value is no, so if it's 0, that means when it came back to, it didn't find any, essentially. So it found 0 rows where team member email equaled responder email. So does the user's row exist? Does that equal 0? The value of this, does that equal 0? If yes, we're just going to create a new item. So we're not going to update an item. We're just going to create a new one because that user row does not exist. So say this is a new hire. They've never submitted this form before. And so we're creating a new item. So we're looking at the trainer tracker list. We're pulling in their email into that responder's email. It's saying, so this is where we're literally going to pull in all of those questions. So if the question about security expiration date is not null, then pull that response in. If security certificate number is not null, then pull that number in. If the security awareness field is not null, pull it back, pull it into the create item. So it's looking at each question and each answer to the question to see if there's any answer in there. And if there is, then it's going to push it into the new item. You'll see this column, test training 1. That is our column name. So what we can do here, or what we're going to do here, is we are going to use what we have up here, the expression, to basically duplicate. So the way that we have to do that is we have to look and see so you'll see like in here, there's some crazy numbers, right? R764, blah, 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 blah. So if I just copied that, then it would pull back the information about the new employee onboarding program overview question. But we don't want that. We want to know about the test training 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we are going to search for what was it? Training. Which one was that? Go back over here to the phone. What date? What date did you complete test training 1? So we're not just going to stick that in there, but we are, because it would fail every time if we tried to do that. Because if it was null, it wouldn't pull anything back. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click on this and we're going to you see those numbers right there, R8, 9, CFA, all of that good stuff. Basically, what you can do is you can copy and paste into Notepad. If you highlight that field, you can copy and paste into Notepad and it's going to give you a copy and pastable version of that specific value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what we have up here. I think that's the name of the game. Just use what's already there. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and I'm going to copy everything that is in that expression. And I'm going to come over here to my notepad again. And I'm just going to fill in that question ID's value in here. So I'm going to replace everything that was in there with the new question. This is a question ID, and that's what's going to be, that's what we're going to look for. If it's null, then it's not going to fill in anything, but if it's not, then it is. So I'm highlighting my expression and I'm going to put it in here under test training 1. I'm clicking in there, clicking expression, and I'm going to click OK. And it looks exactly the same as these others, but we're looking at a different question ID. Down here, it's going to basically say, is attachments empty? So basically, has the user not uploaded a file? And so it's kind of backwards, but the reason being is in our formula, it says, or in our expression, it says, if it's empty, then do this. If it's not empty, then do this. So if it's empty, then it's going to send us back basically a message that's in our flow details. It's going to say no attachment submitted. So, but if there is something, then what it's going to do is it's going to get the file content, basically whatever they've uploaded. This comes from up here in the get response details. You'll see get response details, and that's that question ID. If it's not empty, then we're going to pull in the file content, and then we're going to add the attachment to that new item. You'll see create item. That pulls this one. All right. So what if that was creating a new item. That was if I'm a new hire and that's my first training that I've completed. Say I've been here a while, I've filled out that form 4 different times, and I just need to update my row with my new test train completion. So again, we're looking to see if the user's row exists. If it finds one that equals that the team member email equals the responder's email, that means that there's an existing row. If there's an existing row, then we're going to update the item with those question details and those responses. And then again, check and see if attachments is there. If there's not any attachments, then we're going to say no attachments submitted. This is sort of like a double negative, I guess, whatever that's called. Because we're saying is attachments empty? Yes. No attachments submitted. Is attachments empty? No. Then run that program or run that automation. So just keep that in mind. It's sort of backwards, but it's just because of that expression there. All right, so we're just trying to go in and update that test training 1. We want to add that value that we added a new question to the form. We want to add that value so that folks can come in here and they can, if they already have it in a row, then it updates that row. So again, same thing. I'm just going to copy the expression that's there. Come over here to my notepad. We already have that question ID. So first I'm going to fill in the question ID here. So I'll basically replace the question ID in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look and see what my column name is. Column name is test training 1. So the way that you can double check this to see what your true column name is to come in here to settings, list settings, and click on test training 1. And then everything that is past this equal sign is going to be your true column name. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to replace that column name with test training 1. And then I'm going to copy everything here and I'm going to move over here under test training 1. I'm going to click on expression. I'm going to paste that. I'm going to say okay. And that's it. So then you can save it. And then I can come over here and I can preview my form. I'm going to do test training. What date did you complete test training 1? I'm going to do the 24th. Actually, let's just say the 23rd because I already have some 24ths in there. And I'm going to submit. So you can check this flow back here. You'll see it ran 4 seconds ago. We'll look at the back end of it. So it got my response details. I do have a user row in my in my in the training tracker list. I'm sorry. So a user rows exist. It came back false. So does the user row exist? Is it equal to 0? Again, double negative. Does the row exist? I guess I could probably change that around, but we'll keep it. It works now. So does the user's row? I can actually change that wording. I can say, does the user's row not exist? Does the user's row not exist? So I'm going to save that just so that it's easier when you look through it, when you look through the back end to figure that out. Does the user's row not exist? That's so confusing, but that way we can move. So it does not exist. So we are looking at our existing row and we are updating the item, and then it's looking for attachments. The attachment says empty. And so basically it comes back and says no attachments submitted. I didn't attach any attachments, so that's why we got that message. So then if I come over here back to my list, I should see that test training 1 has been updated for myself to 3/23/26. And that's it. That's how you add a new training. Now I will say if you do need attachments, then if say I did need attachments for test training 1, then you would come under branching and then you would come to upload supporting documentation for your training or certification. So it's going to go to number 7. Actually, I think it would probably make more sense to do this. So say, which training are you reporting or registering for today? We want to ask the question. So what date did you complete? And then under what date did you complete, you can go to upload any supporting documentation. And then, so it's going to jump back up to 7 and then they're going to upload their file and then it's going to take them to the end of the form. Very similar. There's nothing in the field that you have to change. There's nothing in the flow that you have to change if you add attachments or an attachment requirement to your to that test question or to that form question. And that's pretty much it. So forms, you want to make sure you have your SharePoint column created. You want to make sure your Microsoft Forms is updated. And then also your Power Automate flow is pushing what's entered into that form into the SharePoint list.